In this video, we're going to do the KutaSoftware worksheet multi-step equations under the free worksheets in Infinite Algebra 1. Now the directions for this are to solve each equation. And for the sake of time, so I don't have an extremely long video, I'm going to split this up into 3 separate videos. So the first one we'll do numbers 1 through 7, and then we'll do 8 through 14, and finish out with 15 through 20. So in the first video, let's get started with number 1. Now before we get started, I also want to make a note that since these are multi-step equations, there's different orders in which you can do the steps. So I'm going to try to mix it up and do a couple different ways, but feel free to do whichever way is most comfortable for you. So for number 1, we have negative 20 equals negative 4x minus 6x. We're going to start by combining like terms. So negative 4x minus 6x is going to go further into the negatives. So this is going to be negative 20 equal to negative 10x. So now, like a one-step equation, we're just going to divide by negative 10. Negative divided by negative is a positive, so we'll get 2 on the left-hand side. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 is a positive 1. 1 times x is x. So 2 is equal to x. Number 2, we have 6 equal to 1 minus 2n plus 5. I'm going to start by combining like terms on the right-hand side of this equation. Combining the positive 1 and the positive 5, I'm going to have 6 equals 6 minus 2n. Then I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides to get 0 equal to, remember this is minus 2n, so it's going to be a negative 2n. Since it's 0 minus 2n, that's the same as 0 plus a negative 2n, which is simply negative 2n. Then I'm going to divide by negative 2 on both sides, and we'll get that 0 is equal to n. Because 0 divided by negative 2 is 0, and negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1, and 1 times n is n. So 0 is the answer for number 2. Number 3, 8x minus 2 equals negative 9 plus 7x. I'm going to pick a side that I want my x's to be on. So I'm going to move any term with x to the left-hand side and anything without an x to the right-hand side. For my first step, I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides, and at the same time, I'm going to add a 2 to both sides. 8x minus 7x is 1x minus 2, and this is the same as adding a negative 2, so negative 2 plus 2 is 0, and then negative 9 plus 2 is a negative 7, plus 7x minus 7x is a 0. This leaves us with 1x, which is x, equal to negative 7. Since 1x plus 0 is x, and negative 7 plus 0 is negative 7. If you were uncomfortable taking away 7x and adding 2 all in the same step, go ahead and take away 7x from both sides to start, and then add 2. You don't have to do it all in one step. I just do that to conserve space. Number 4, we have 8 plus 5 is equal to negative 5a plus 5. So I'm going to start by subtracting 5 from both sides. If I subtract 5 from both sides, I'll be left with an a on the left-hand side is equal to a negative 5a on the right-hand side. Now I can move this a or this negative 5a to either side. I'll go ahead and add 5a to both sides. A plus 5a is 6a, and negative 5a plus 5a is 0. My last step would be to divide by 6. That'll give me a equal to 0 for number 4. Number 5, 4m minus 4 equals 4m. I'm going to start by subtracting this 4m. So when I subtract 4m from both sides, I'm left with a negative 4 on the left, since it was subtracted originally, equal to 4m minus 4m is 0. But wait a second, negative 4 cannot equal 0. Therefore, there is no solution to number 5. That means there is no value that we can plug in for m that will make this equation true. Therefore, there is no solution. And you can see right off the bat, if you have 4m and you're taking away 4 from that, but you have that equaling the original starting value, that's not possible. So you can see logically that there's no solution at the very beginning without even doing any math. Moving on to number 6, we have p minus 1 equals 5p plus 3p minus 8. I'm going to start by combining like terms on the right-hand side. That'll leave me with p minus 1 on the left equal to 8p minus 8 on the right. Then I'm going to move this p over to the right so that I have negative 1 remaining, and I'm going to move this negative 8 over to the left so I only have a p remaining. And I'll go ahead and do that in one single step. So subtracting p from both sides and adding 8 to both sides. P minus p is 0, so I have 0, and then a negative 1 plus 8 will be a positive 7, and that's going to be equal to 8p minus 1p, which is 7p plus 0. So 7 equals 7p, and when we divide by 7 on both sides, we get that 1 is equal to p. And we're going to end on number 7. But before we finish this out, go ahead and give me a thumbs up on this video. And if you have further questions, go ahead and comment below. And also, if you're still confused, practice, practice, practice. Go back to the one-step equations, go back to the combining like terms worksheet, go back to the two-step equation worksheet, and work through those problems again if necessary. Also, go to my tutorial section where I go through a more in-depth explanation of solving these multi-step equations. But this is just the practice, so watch that video before you do the worksheet. Now for number 7, I'm going to subtract a 5p from both sides, and that'll leave me with 0p, or 0, and on this side I'll have 3p left, and I'm also going to take away 4 from both sides. A negative 14, since this 14 is being subtracted, minus 4 is going to be a negative 18, and that's equal to 3p. 4 minus 4 is 0. So we have negative 18 equals 3p, so we divide by 3, we're going to get that negative 6 is equal to p. So negative 6 is the solution for number 7. And in the next video, we're going to start with number 8 and go all the way through number 14. Continuing on with the multi-step equation worksheet, number 8. We have p minus 4 equal to negative 9 plus p. I'm going to add a 4 to both sides, and I'm going to take away a p from both sides. P minus p is 0. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Negative 9 plus 4 is a negative 5. P minus p is 0. So we have 0 equal to negative 5. We know that that's not possible, so for number 8, we have no solution. And you can see from the start, thinking logically, if you're taking away 4 from this value p, it's never going to equal having a p and then taking away 9 from that. Because taking away 4, you're taking away a less value than if you're taking away 9. On to number 9, we have negative 8 equals negative x plus 4. So saying negative x plus 4 is almost as if we're multiplying x plus 4 by a negative 1. So we're going to divide it by negative 1 at the start. Negative 8 divided by negative 1 is a positive 8. A negative 1 divided by negative 1 is a positive 1. And 1 times x plus 4 is x plus 4. Then we can subtract 4 from both sides to get that 4 is equal to x. In number 10, we're starting by dividing by a negative 4. 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3, and we'll be left with negative 6x minus 3. So we're going to add a 3 to both sides to get that 0 is equal to negative 6x. And when we divide by a negative 6, we're going to get that 0 is equal to x, because 0 divided by any number is 0. Number 11, 14 equals negative p minus 8. So again, we're going to divide by that negative 1. 14 divided by negative 1 is a negative 14. And a negative p minus 8 divided by negative 1 is a positive p minus 8. Then we're going to add 8 to both sides. Negative 14 plus 8 is going to be a negative 6. And that is going to be equal to our variable p. So negative 6 is the answer for number 11. In number 12, again, we have a negative outside of the parentheses. So this is simply going to be dividing by negative 1. Negative 7 minus 4x divided by a negative 1 is going to be a positive 7 minus 4x. And that's going to be equal to a 9 divided by a negative 1, which is a negative 9. Then we're going to subtract by 7 from both sides to have a 0 minus 4x equals a negative 16. Since we're subtracting 4x from 0, we can say that negative 4x is equal to negative 16. Then we're going to divide by negative 4. When we divide by negative 4, we're going to get that x is equal to negative 16 divided by negative 4, which is a positive 4. So x is equal to a positive 4. Number 13. Negative 18 minus 6k equals 6 times the quantity 1 plus 3k. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. Again, since they're multi-step equations, there's not necessarily one way. So we can start by distributing this 6. Or, since 6 goes into 6k evenly and negative 18 evenly, I'm going to start by dividing by 6. When I divide both sides by 6, I'm left with 1 plus 3k on the right. On the left, I have negative 18 divided by 6, which is a negative 3, minus 6k divided by 6, which is k. Now in the next step, I'm going to add a k to both sides. And I'm also going to subtract a 1 from both sides. So that this will equal 0 and this will equal 0. Then I'll be left with only whole numbers on the left and some coefficient with k on the right. Let's solve for that. Negative 3 minus 1 gives us a negative 4, and that's equal to 3k plus k, which is 4k. Divide by 4 on both sides. Negative 4 divided by 4 is a negative 1. 4k divided by 4 is just k. So negative 1 is equal to k. This will be the last problem in this video, and then in the next video we'll go ahead and complete the worksheet. So 5n plus 34 equals negative 2 times 1 minus 7n. I'm going to need to start by distributing this negative 2. That's because 34 is divisible by negative 2, but 5n is not, since this is an odd number. So if I were to divide by negative 2 first, I would get a fraction on this side. But I know that I won't have to deal with fractions if I go ahead and distribute the negative 2 first. So I'm going to do that. So we'll have 5n plus 34 equals negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times 7n is going to be a negative 14n, and since this is subtracted, it's going to be adding a positive 14n. Now I'm going to subtract 5n from both sides. When I subtract 5n, this will become 0, and I want this to also become 0. And in order to do that, I'm going to add 2 to each side. So adding 2 to both sides as well, I'm going to have 34 plus 2, which is 36, since this will be 0. Negative 2 plus 2 will also be 0. 14n minus 5n is going to leave me with 9n. Then all I have to do is divide by 9 to get that 4 is equal to n. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel. By doing that and also leaving comments, it gives me a feedback on how my videos are going. That way I know which videos that I need to do more of, which ones I need to go in depth on more, and what I can go ahead and skip over or not do in great of detail as I would other topics. So go ahead, comment, thumbs up, and subscribe. Here we go. Let's finish off the last 6 problems on the multi-step equation worksheet, and I'll leave a link in the description below so that you know how to get to these free worksheets that are provided by KutaSoftware. So number 15, we have 2 times 4x minus 3 minus 8 equals 4 plus 2x. I'm going to go ahead and start by dividing by 2. I know that if I divide by 2, the 8 is divisible by 2, the 4 is divisible by 2, and the 2x is divisible by 2. Doing that, I'll be left with 4x minus 3, and then I have to divide this 8 by 2, since I'm dividing the entire left-hand side by 2. So that'll be minus 4, and then dividing the right-hand side by 2, I'll have 2 plus 1x, which is x. Now I'm going to combine like terms on this left-hand side, combining the negative 3 and the negative 4. This is going to be 4x minus 3 minus 4 will be minus 7, or plus a negative 7. And that's going to be equal to 2 plus x. My next step will be to subtract an x from both sides, and I'm also going to add a 7 to both sides. Scrolling over a little bit so that I have a little more room to do my work, 4x minus x is going to leave me with 3x. Negative 7 plus 7 is 0. So 3x equals 2 plus 7, which is 9. X minus x is 0. So we have 3x equals 9. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 to get that x is equal to 3. So x equals 3 for number 15. Now moving on to number 16. 3n minus 5 equals negative 8 times 6 plus 5n. I'm going to need to start by distributing this negative 8. That way I'll have 3n minus 5 equals negative 48 plus a negative 40n. I'm going to add 40n to both sides in order for this to cancel out and be 0. And then I'm going to need to add 5 to both sides in order for this to cancel out and be 0. So I'm going to be left with n's on my left and whole numbers on my right. 3n plus 40n is 43n. 43n is going to be equal to a negative 43. Dividing by 43 on both sides, I'm going to have n equal to a negative 1. Number 17, I have a negative 1 plus 7x minus 6 times negative 7 minus x. So what we need to do is we're going to start by distributing the negative, and we're also going to distribute this 6, but before we do that, I'm going to make this adding a negative because subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. So we're going to be distributing this negative 6. So negative 1 times 1 is a negative 1, plus a negative 1 times 7x is a negative 7x. We're going to add that to negative 6 times negative 7 is a positive 42, and then that's going to be subtracted to a negative 6 times x, which is going to be a negative 6x, but subtracting a negative is adding a positive 6x, and that is all going to equal 36. Now I'm going to combine like terms, so I can combine this 6x with the negative 7x and the 42 with the negative 1. Negative 1 plus 42 will leave me with 41, plus negative 7x plus 6x is a negative 1x, and that all equals 36. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 41 from both sides, so I'll have negative 1x equal to 36 minus 41 is going to be a negative 5. Then I just need to divide by negative 1 on both sides, and that's going to give us that x is equal to a positive 5. Remember, ignore this equation here because this is a later equation. So x equals positive 5 for number 17. Let's move on to number 18. Number 18, we have negative 3 times 4x plus 3 plus 4 times 6x plus 1 equals 43. Again, we're going to start by distributing. So we're going to get that negative 12x plus negative 9 plus 24x plus 4 equals 43. Then combining like terms, we're going to get negative 12x plus 24x is 12x, plus negative 9 plus positive 4 is a negative 5 equals 43. Adding 5 to both sides will give us 12x equal to 48. And when we divide by 12 on both sides, we get that x is equal to a positive 4. Let's go on to number 19. For number 19, we have 24a minus 22 equals negative 4 times 1 minus 6a. We're going to have to start by distributing this negative 4. So we'll have 24a minus 22 equals negative 4 minus a negative 24a, so that's going to be plus a positive 24a. And you can see if we take away a 24a from both sides, and let's go ahead and add 22 to both sides, we're going to get 0 plus 0 equals negative 4 plus 22 is a positive 18 plus 0. So this is 18 equals 0, or 0 equals 18, which means that for number 19, we have no solution because it's not possible that 0 equals 18. So that means that there's no value that we can plug in for this variable a that would make this equation true. And on to our last problem of this worksheet, number 20. I'm going to have to zoom out for this one. Negative 5 times 1 minus 5x plus 5 times negative 8x minus 2 equals negative 4x minus 8x. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to start by distributing. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to combine like terms. So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5 minus negative 5 times 5x is a negative 25x, so that's going to be plus a positive 25x, plus 5 times negative 8x is negative 40x, and then 5 times 2 is 10, and that 10 will be subtracted, so let's just write it in terms of addition, so it'll be adding a negative 10, and that's going to be equal to negative 4x minus 8x, which is negative 12x. Now we're going to combine like terms, 25x and negative 40x, and negative 5 and negative 10. Negative 5 plus negative 10 is going to leave us with negative 15. 25x minus 40x, or plus a negative 40x, is going to be negative 15x, and that's going to be equal to negative 12x. So adding a 15x to both sides, we'll have that negative 15 is equal to a positive 3x. Dividing both sides by 3, we have negative 5 is equal to x. So negative 5 is the solution for number 20, and that wraps up our multi-step equation worksheet. And go ahead, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you need more detail on how to solve multi-step equations, please go to my tutorial section on YouTube to get those helpful tips and that extra information that may be needed for you.